I always tell people there's a simple science to power, especially with money. If you fly in any place in the world today, even the countries that cannot stand the United States, North Korea, Iran, different, Libya, whatever you want to call it as a country today, and you roll out the greenback, and the question is, are they going to take that? And if you make a comparison to that roll out the one, they're going to take the greenback, right? So at the end of the day, the power, put it like this. I fly to Iran tomorrow, I can't buy it, it's an embargo, but I go to buy 100,000 barrels of oil. I can pay in USD.
For now.
Right? No, that's not going to change. Don't buy the rhetoric, buy the reality, right? So a guy can make all the noise in the room, be like this. Iran's been denouncing it. Russia and all these places have been denouncing the U.S. for decades. We're going to this, we're going to that. But at the end of the day, that's talk and not reality.
So what you're saying is, even though they are quote unquote settling their business in the Chinese currency or Iran's native currency, they still will take U.S. dollars when it comes down to sale and shipping.
Look at the backsides. You claim that you are settling in as much as when Russia was thrown out of the SWIFT system. And they created their own internal system, and how they say they're settling in rubles, and they also have the migration of settling on their internal system.
Right.
At the end of the day, for them to always realize a realistic and a tangible end product, guess what? They still end up settling in dollars. So it doesn't matter. When the Russians use the ruble as a bond and they trade back on the European market, in particular with Armenia and Germany, and they try to sell their trades off, especially for one commodity of oil, they still at the end of the day have to end that commodity in dollars. When you go in Venezuela, and Venezuela has tons of rubles, has tons of Chinese bond, because these are the countries that's been backing the entire regime of Maduro. At the end of the day, when they go outside of that sphere, they try to settle off just as close as Colombia. At the end of the day, they still have to turn those currencies back to dollars. And this is the same lesson you got to realize with China. China has all this so-called bond that has so-called value. But who do you see embracing it? The only people that's embracing that are countries that have no relevance in the economic change to our system.
But people would argue that these countries that make up BRICS have the resources behind it. Meat, energy, gold.
What countries?
Russia, Brazil, who was supposed to be one of the emerging huge economies, never realized that. You got China, India, which is an emerging economy.
Yeah, but let's slow down. You gotta separate the reality from just the talk.
Okay.
A lot of political talk is posturing. Right. Let's go to Lula, Brazil. Now, do you really believe Brazil will embrace the same standard of walk-in as, say, Bolivia? No. Why? But Brazil has more internal wealth and all more organic wealth, and Bolivia and most of the other Latin American countries combined.
Right.
So you have a class in Brazil that will never even allow the government. See, one thing about wealth, because they're tied to non-wealth, is this. If you've been rich, you're making a lot of money, and you've come from the point in history where you probably wasn't there, you don't want to go back to that.
Right.
So the forces of, say, a country like Brazil, with the economic power and the clout that is amassed over the last 20 years, they are not going to allow their government to spin them down the road to a Venezuela, which was one time ago one of the jewels of the Latin American community here. Yeah. They're not going to allow them to be spent again to the Bolivia standard. They're not going to. So no, it's talk. It's all posturing and talk. The reality of it happening is as much as I'm going to hit the 100-year mark in my lifetime. It's just not going to happen. So these are things where, okay, these guys posture. We had one time ago, Mexico, we had the president one time saying, hey, we want to move away from the new treaty that was done with Donald Trump, et cetera, et cetera. It's nothing more to get it here. Read the markets. The markets will digest it in 20 seconds and move on.